Welcome back to the last part of the Power Max Mini Challenge from Oulton Park's Mini Festival. Now, someone who's managed to continuously claw their way back up despite suffering several setbacks this weekend is Grace Williams. Grace, hello. It was looking so good in the first race. You were in third position a lot of the time in the Coopers. What happened?
Yeah, I was so pleased with how I was doing and was really getting on successfully, and yeah, came around the first corner, had an incident which ended pretty nastily. I was completely wiped out and ended up in the tyre wall. The guys here did a great job. I mean, Peak Performance have a real good team around them now, and they did their best, and I was good to go. The only issue I had continuing on into the second race was the power steering. I didn't have any, so that was a new experience.
Yeah. Best of luck to Grace and indeed everyone. Let's go over to Ben Evans now for the final grid of this weekend's Power Max Mini Challenge.
Thanks, Michelle. And this is the reverse grid race, so it should be very entertaining, with Hamish Brandon and Neil Newstead sharing the front row. Clear Lawrence Davey and Chris James, then Chris Russell and Chris Knox. In the Cooper class, Mark Wakefield and Matt Hammond. Out front, Shane Stoney with an awful lot to do from 6th place, but he is rarely to be deterred. Away we go then. It's a fast start from Knox, but he's boxed in here behind Lawrence Davey. It's also a good start from Chris Russell as they charge towards Old Hall for the first time. It's Hamish Brandon who takes the advantage from Neil Newstead as the rest of the pack swoop around, cleanly through as well, at least in the JCW class. A little bit of bumping in the Cooper class. William Phillips, Mark Wakefield involved in that, as Newstead snatches the advantage as they head around Cascades for the first time. Real fight, though, is the one for third between Chris Russell and Lawrence Davey, the pair of them side by side en route to Island Bend. So Newstead leads the way. Hamish Brandon in second. He'll be looking to score a good podium if he can. Lawrence Davey then consolidates third ahead of the first of the Chris's. It's Russell and then James from Knox. Luke Caudle up into 7th place, just ahead of Rob Smith. Luke will be looking to score as many championship points as possible in this race to really get his title hunt back on track, because we've only got 3 more meetings to go from Oulton Park. We're at Castle Combe in August, then the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit also in August, and then the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in mid-September. So Neil Newstead leads the way through Izzy's for the first time, ahead of Brandon and Davey. Knox and Luke Caudle, you just get a sense it's only a matter of time before they're able to charge on up through the pack. We've seen time and time again in the Power Max Mini Challenge that the key in these reverse grid races is to keep the intensity to a minimum in the early stages. Let the race unfold, let the gaps begin to appear, and then make your move. That said, Chris Russell's got a super run out of Druids here and looked briefly to the inside Lawrence Davey. Davey knew that was coming, moved to the inside himself. Hamish Brandon also defending, so got a queue of cars to the inside of the road, and that means the traffic jam forms behind. The leading octet all the way back to Rob Smith, still in close contention. Over the line then, and Newstead just a car length or so clear of Hamish Brandon, no more than that, as they turn through almost like a formation driving team out of Old Hall. Of course, there is an exception to prove the rule. That's Rob Smith, who runs wide. He rejoins through Cascades. Chris James, he was trying to move clear of Chris Russell. All arms and elbows, goes somewhat sideways. He will rejoin, but some way down the JCW class order. So that leads to elevation for Chris Knox and Luke Caudle. As Chris Russell immediately looks to the inside Lawrence Davey into Shell Oil's hairpin. The leaders then emerge out of the cambered right-hander. Have the very short propulsion on towards Britain's. Flick left, right, then left again. And that will then bring them into Hilltop. 6 cars almost running as one, then a slight gap to Rob Smith. Where's the challenge coming from this time round? Hamish Brandon preemptively to the inside. It's coming from Lawrence Davey. Chris Russell goes for a move and launches across the curb. Lawrence Davey takes evasive action as Chris Russell rejoins. He's lost a couple of places to Chris Knox and Luke Caudle. He's also probably lost a couple of fillings, I'd suggest, as well. Here's another look at it. If you do know a good chiropractor, send their details on to Chris Russell. A hefty landing, and one which tested the suspension to the limits. Now the change comes to second place. The pressure pays on Hamish Brandon. He loses out to Lawrence Davey. He may lose out as well in fairly short order to Chris Knox, who carries the momentum out of Lodge Corner up over Deer Leap as they arrive into Oulton. Knox looking for a gap that was barely there, and he goes to the inside of Hamish Brandon, somehow finds the advantage. Meanwhile, William Phillips in the Cooper class has got that man Shane Stoney closing up onto his tail. Stoney moving clear of Josh Gollin, and Gollin says, right, let's work in tandem, let's form a slipstream and catch that man Phillips. So William Phillips leads the Cooper class. Shane Stoney lights the blaze in second place, would like to make it a clean sweep once more. Josh Gollin is perfectly comfortable in that plan. He's going to do all he can to aid in the bet. While Henry Dupree picking his way past Mark Paul. Paulie Goulding also in with that group of cars. At the front of the field, though, we've now got a definitive three-car split. Neil Newstead from Chris Knox, and then Luke Caudle as Knox looks to the inside Neil Newstead as they head into Knickerbrook, and Chris Knox snatches the lead, or does he? They climb up over Clay Hill. They're still side by side. The wing mirror is almost kissing. So they arrive into Druids, and Neil Newstead now gets his nose in front. What a brilliant scrap between the pair of them. And Caudle all the while doing what Luke does best, watching, poised, ready to move through in the blink of an eye. And we've still got a fair chunk of this race to unfold, and therefore there's no requirement for Luke Caudle to do anything too dramatic too quickly. At least that's the plan at the moment. So over Deer Leap, past the pits and into Oulton. The change for second place, and Luke Caudle has snuck past Chris Knox. Now Caudle is going to take his turn to challenge Neil Newstead. Meanwhile, William Phillips is steadily slipping down the Cooper class order. That's Mark Wakefield who elevates himself past Phillips. Matt Hammond is the next in the queue. So Williams evidently had a bit of a problem. Matt Hammond looking to challenge as they go over Deer Leap. Hammond to the outside into Druids. William Phillips to the inside line. Phillips should be able to hold on because Druids is such a tricky corner. The camber falls away from you just as you clip the apex. You then sort of pick it up again just for the second part of the corner, and then it falls away from you once more. While you're focused on the exit so you can get a good position into Lodge. But there's no change in the order of that trio through Lodge. There might be on the exit though, as William Phillips looks to get onto terms with Mark Wakefield. Meanwhile, the leaders are making progress. They are scything now through the Cooper class runners. Chris Knox has found a way back ahead of Luke Caudle once more, but you could still easily throw a generously sized duvet over the three leaders because it's about 4.5 mini lengths covering 3 cars, and we go into the last lap. What a finale in prospect. The final lap of the Oulton Park Mini Festival in the Power Max Mini Challenge. This is what the fans have flocked to the Cheshire Circuit to enjoy, and they are being treated to quite something. But we have got this ferocious fight here between Mark Wakefield, William Phillips and Matt Hammond. Then we've got Gideon Cresswell, and then we have got the 3 leaders. You always want the Ride of the Valkyries to be playing as they come over the brow into Island Bend. Neil Newstead through the left-hander. Chris Knox in pursuit. He's still got, though, 2/3 of the lap remaining, but it's all the run to home from here on in. Britons you can't really overtake. Instead, it's all about getting that exit from Britons to possibly challenge into his lot. As long as you don't do Chris Russell and launch yourself across the curbs at that point. So they come up over Hilltop. And we've got a problem there for Gideon Cresswell. He is smoking a little bit. We've also got a problem for Luke Caudle, who slows at the back of the picture. So Luke Caudle from 3rd drops out, and contact between Cresswell and Neil Newstead. Contact again, Cresswell onto 2 wheels. Newstead goes sideways, and Chris Knox can't quite capitalise. Busy taking evasive action. Luke Caudle pulls off at the top of your picture. Disaster for Caudle. Disaster for Gideon Cresswell. As still William Phillips, Matt Hammond and Mark Wakefield do battle, and contact. Oh, and off into the gravel trap goes Mark Wakefield. William Phillips gets promoted through all of that. This the fight for third place in the Cooper class, and the leaders are arriving onto the scene as well. We've got just one corner to go, and quite frankly, anything could happen. Chris Knox goes sideways on the brakes, trying to overhaul Neil Newstead, and it means that up the inside, Lawrence Davey finds the space as Knox bumps and bores across the grass. They charge over Deer Leap on towards the checkered flag, and it is victory just for Neil Newstead. Second place to Lawrence Davey, and third place for Chris Knox. And I am struggling to think of a more dramatic last lap in any class of racing that we have seen in the 2014 season. So look then at the final results. Victory for Neil Newstead, second place Lawrence Davey, third place Chris Knox from Hamish Brandon and Rob Smith. Wretched luck for Luke Caudle for that late retirement. Shane Stoney sweeping the Cooper class from Josh Gollin, and William Phillips completing the podium after that manic last lap. So trophy, handshakes and presentations onto the top step of the rostrum for Neil Newstead. It's time for the champagne on the rostrum.
His first win.
Absolutely amazing race. I had a flying start, held the corner into turn one, and then I pulled away. I see Chris Knox come through the pack. He was catching me very quickly, but there's no way I was going to let him past. I just had to hold position. I knew I had the time in the car. The car performed absolutely amazing, and then to come across that line P1, absolutely fantastic. Very happy.
So in terms of the championship then, leaving Oulton Park, Chris Knox leads the JCW class from Neil Newstead and Lawrence Davey. Luke Caudle slides to fourth after that disappointing weekend. Shane Stoney, meanwhile, dominates the Cooper class from Josh Gollin and Ricky Page.
What a day of action. Admittedly, not the most successful of weekends for Luke Caudle, but Chris Knox taking 2 wins and the championship lead, and a storming finish there for Neil Newstead in the final race. Possibly the best race so far this season. That's it from Oulton Park. Don't forget, you can keep up to date with all things Mini Challenge on our website, also on our Facebook page, and of course Twitter. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. We'll see you for round 5 at Castle Combe.